The Pittsburgh Steelers feel very good about the future of rookie quarterback Will Howard. When they selected him in the 6th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, the team felt that they might be getting their long-term replacement for Aaron Rodgers. Even though Howard was a 6th-round pick, his talent is through the roof. There is a lot of work for him to do to reach the level that many believe he's capable of reaching, but the Steelers are very confident in his ability. Unfortunately, he missed his first preseason due to a fractured pinky finger. He was hoping to be able to get back on the field to start the regular season. Howard has received a major update before Week 1. Sadly, it's not good news. On Thursday morning, Pittsburgh decided to place Howard on injured reserve. That means that the rookie signal caller will miss at least the first 4 games of the 2025 NFL season. Last season, in his last year playing college football, Howard made the decision to transfer from Kansas State to the Ohio State Buckeyes. It was the best decision he has ever made. Howard was able to lead Ohio State to a national championship win. Due to his success, Howard vaulted up draft boards. He went from being a clear undrafted free agent to a 6th-round pick and a potential long-term starter for the Steelers. Throughout the course of the 2024 college football season with the Buckeyes, Howard completed 73.1% of his pass attempts for 4,010 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He also ran for 226 yards and 7 more scores. With Howard out for the first 4 games, Pittsburgh will enter the 2025 season with Rodgers as its starter. Behind him, the Steelers will have Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson as the number 2 and number 3 quarterbacks. Hopefully, the rookie quarterback is able to get back to full health as early as possible. He isn't expected to play this season, but the healthier he can get, the more experience he can have throughout his first year. Expect to hear more updates about Howard's health status over the next 4 weeks. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers has held the reputation of being difficult with the media and even teammates throughout his career. But through almost 3 months with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Rodgers has fit in well and not caused any drama with reporters. However, that doesn't mean he's made up with former Steelers safety and ESPN analyst Ryan Clark. The Super Bowl champion defensive back shared during Meadowlarks Football America podcast Friday that he and Rodgers haven't spoken since the quarterback signed with the Steelers. Clark said he requested to interview the quarterback for his own podcast, The Pivot. But Rodgers declined the interview. "I have nothing against dude, he's fine." I was like, man, I would love to sit with him. I'm a part of the history there. He's the quarterback with our team now. I actually don't dislike him. I want to sit with him, welcome him to Steeler Nation, and just kind of have a conversation. I didn't want to have a conversation about that. I wanted to talk about his career. I have said over and over again, he's the best quarterback I ever played against, said Clark via PennLive.com's Nick Farabaugh. Clark added that then during his visit to Steelers practice this summer, the quarterback didn't speak to him. Ryan Clark says Steelers' Aaron Rodgers ignored him during visit. Clark didn't directly address the new Pittsburgh quarterback, but the former safety shared that he said hello to Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith and Rodgers at the same time. According to Clark, Rodgers didn't respond. "When we were pulling up to campus, he was talking to Arthur Smith when we were going up the hill. For me, if I truly don't have an issue with you, I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to say hello. It's rude not to, in my opinion," said Clark. So he was talking to Arthur Smith. "I talked to some of the guys I see coming from the special teams meeting. I roll the window down and I say, 'What's up, guys?' Arthur Smith kind of speaks. Aaron Rodgers looks at me and he doesn't say anything." Interestingly, Clark made clear that he respected Rodgers' decision not to speak with him. "I respected it because he was like, I'm not going to be fake. For whatever he feels or whatever it is, he's like, that is not someone that I fool with in that way, and I'm not going to fake it. And I think it set the tone that you and I don't talk. When I was on the field, I didn't say anything to him. He didn't say anything to me," added Clark. The beef between Rodgers and Clark. Any potential issues between the quarterback and analyst appear to stem from a December 2024 appearance Rodgers made on ESPN's The Pat McAfee Show. On the show, Rodgers was highly critical of former NFL players turned analysts. "I'm talking about these experts on TV who nobody remembers what they did in their career," Rodgers said, via USA Today's Jakob Kamenker. So, in order for them to stay relevant, they have to make comments that keep them in the conversation. That wasn't going on in 2008, 2009, that was non-existent. The quarterback didn't mention Clark, but the former Steelers safety clearly had an issue with Rodgers' comment. I find it extremely funny that he's saying this on a show with a man who, as great as he was as a punter, is far more famous as a pundit in Pat McAfee, Clark responded. A.J. Hawk, who I felt like was a good player, is now on TV, and he gets to give his thoughts as well. It only grew uglier from there, with Rodgers asking Clark about his vaccine status in one of his later responses to the ESPN analyst. Things between Rodgers and Clark probably didn't get any better over the offseason when Clark was adamant on ESPN the Steelers shouldn't sign Rodgers in NFL free agency. Clark played 13 years in the NFL, 8 of which he spent with the Steelers. He made the 2011 Pro Bowl and started 14 games in 2008 when the Steelers were ranked number 1 in multiple defensive categories and won the Super Bowl. Clark started 109 games for the Steelers. In 177 contests across his entire career, he registered 938 tackles, 16 interceptions, and 4 sacks. The Pittsburgh Steelers didn't acquire Terry McLaurin, who requested a trade from the Washington Commanders on July 31st. McLaurin and the Commanders eventually agreed to a new deal to keep him in Washington. But if the Steelers are still in the wide receiver market, they could have another shot at acquiring a wideout seeking a new contract. Las Vegas Raiders' Jakobi Meyers. Steelers Now's Derek Bell answered, unequivocally yes, to a mailbag question Friday about whether the team should pursue the Raiders' receiver on the trade market. Meyers has been one of the most consistent complementary pass catchers for quite some time now and is coming off his first 1,000-yard campaign despite missing a couple of games while also suffering through dreadful quarterback play, wrote Bell. He's got good size with great hands to make plays in traffic, can win versus man coverage from all 3 positions, X, Z, and slot, and is a willing run blocker that can play in a condensed split for them. Meyers posted 87 catches, 1,027 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns in 15 games last season. His receptions and receiving yards were new career highs. But while 2024 was his first 1,000-yard season, as Bell explained, Meyers has been very productive for quite some time. During his first season with the Raiders in 2023, Meyers posted a career-best 8 touchdowns. From 2021 to 23, he reached at least 800 receiving yards each year. Meyers also had 729 receiving yards during 2020. ESPN's Ryan McFadden reported on August 25th that Meyers requested a trade from the Raiders. The receiver is entering the final year of his current contract. Raiders' Jakobi Meyers requests trade. Players putting public pressure on their teams with trade requests has become a popular trend this year. Before McLaurin did it, Myles Garrett was the first NFL star to request a trade seemingly as a negotiating tactic. It worked for both Garrett and McLaurin. Both received new deals with their current teams. The tactic was successful for edge rusher Micah Parsons as well, but in a different way. On Friday, the Dallas Cowboys fulfilled Parsons' trade request, moving him to the Green Bay Packers. Meyers isn't on the same level of stardom as those other 3 players, but he is trying the same approach to land a new deal. McFadden, though, cast doubt over whether the Raiders are going to budge. The Raiders and Meyers have been unable to come to terms on a new deal, McFadden wrote. Las Vegas, however, has no plans to move on from Meyers, according to a source. It doesn't seem likely that the Raiders will trade Meyers before the season. However, since he's in a contract year and Las Vegas isn't expected to compete in the tough AFC West, Meyers could be a trade deadline target for teams before November 4th. What Meyers could bring to Steelers. The Steelers have been linked to quite a few veteran receivers over the past week. That's not surprising given the team's lack of receiver star power. But the team isn't likely to move the needle all that much with a flyer. If the Steelers add another receiver, it should be one who could push Calvin Austin 3 for the WR2 role opposite DK Metcalf. Meyers would do that. Bell argued Meyers would also give the Steelers' passing game an element it's badly missing. Meyers is very different stylistically from anyone else they currently employ on the roster, with his most glaring weakness being that he's not an extraordinary athlete that doesn't create a ton of explosive plays, but the Steelers have a plethora of team speed, Bell wrote. What they need most is a chain mover. Metcalf and Austin each averaged at least 15 yards per catch last season. Veteran Scotty Miller has averaged 14.4 yards per reception the past 2 years, and Roman Wilson was a big play receiver in college. To complement those receivers, the Steelers need the next Hines Ward or Deontay Johnson. The target quarterback Aaron Rodgers will look for on third and medium. Meyers has posted 393 receptions for 4,592 receiving yards and 20 touchdowns in 91 NFL games. He began his career with the New England Patriots as an undrafted free agent in 2019. 2 years later, Meyers was a 16-game starter. In addition to Metcalf, Austin, Miller, and Wilson, the Steelers have veteran receiver Ben Skowronek on their roster as a fifth wideout. However, Skowronek is expected to contribute more on special teams than offense this season.